On our anniversary, my boyfriend showed up hours late to the restaurant and even brought his stupid friends. But the worst part was what he said next. I should have seen it coming. That's what everyone says afterward, right? But when you're in it, when you're living it day by day, the signs don't look like signs. They look like bad days, rough patches, things that happen to everyone. I met him during what should have been a routine fix. The kitchen sink had been leaking for days, and my landlord finally sent someone over. He showed up in worn jeans and a company shirt, toolbox in hand, easy smile on his face. We talked while he worked. He made me laugh. He had this way of making even mundane stories sound entertaining. Before he left, he'd written his personal number on the invoice, right below the company's contact information. 3 months later, we were inseparable. 6 months in, he was staying over most nights. By month 8, when his lease was up, moving in together felt natural, inevitable even. His clothes filled half my closet. His toothbrush sat next to mine. His keys hung on my hook by the door. We fell into a rhythm that felt like partnership. The job situation started almost immediately. He'd been fired from the plumbing company a week before moving in. Creative differences with management, he'd said, waving it off like it was nothing. I didn't press. Everyone has bad bosses, right? He'd find something better. He was skilled, personable. Companies would be lucky to have him. He did find something. A week later, he was working construction. Then he quit that after 2 weeks. The foreman had it out for me from day one, he explained one evening, tossing his keys on the counter with more force than necessary. Kept assigning me the shit work while his favorites got the easy jobs. Did you talk to him about it? Talk to him? He laughed, but there was no humor in it. The guy's a Neanderthal. You can't reason with someone like that. Then there was the warehouse job that lasted less than a month. Then the retail position where the manager was incompetent. 4 jobs in the first 3 months of living together. Each departure came with detailed explanations about unfair treatment, impossible standards, toxic environments. I covered rent those months, groceries, utilities, the internet bill, his car insurance when it came due. Just until I get settled, he'd promise, squeezing my hand across the dinner table. You know I'm good for it. I'll pay you back everything. And I believed him because I wanted to. Because ending things felt harder than just waiting it out. Because I'd invested almost a year and didn't want it to be for nothing. But it wasn't just the jobs. The first time I noticed something was wrong, we'd been living together for about 6 weeks. We'd agreed on Saturday that we'd visit my parents the following weekend. I'd even texted my mom to confirm. But when Friday came and I mentioned packing for the trip, he looked at me with genuine confusion. We said Sunday, not Saturday. Your mom's expecting us Sunday afternoon. No, we definitely said Saturday. I have the text thread. You're misremembering. We said Sunday because I have that thing Saturday morning. I pulled up the messages with my mom. Sure enough, I'd told her Saturday. But he was so certain, spoke with such confidence that I started doubting my own memory. Had I gotten it wrong? Had we discussed changing it and I forgot? I apologized to my mom and rescheduled for Sunday. 2 weeks later, we were discussing dinner plans. He wanted to try a new Mexican place. I thought you said you didn't like Mexican food? I asked. His face changed. Not angry, exactly. Just cold. Distant. I never said that. I love Mexican food. Why would I say I don't like it? I swear you mentioned it when I think you're confusing me with someone else. His tone was flat. I've always liked Mexican food. The conversation ended there. He went quiet. Not for an hour. For 3 days. He'd be physically present but emotionally gone, moving through our apartment like I was furniture. No eye contact. No conversation. When I asked him direct questions, I got one-word answers delivered in a monotone that made it clear he was punishing me. Are you okay? I asked on day 2. Fine. Are you upset with me? No. Can we talk about... There's nothing to talk about. By day 3, I was desperate. The silence was suffocating. I'd catch myself editing my movements, being extra quiet, extra careful, as if any wrong move might extend his punishment. Finally, I broke. I'm sorry, I said, standing in the doorway of the living room where he was watching TV. I shouldn't have insisted you said something you didn't. I was probably thinking of someone else. I hated myself for it. But the moment I apologized, he transformed. The warmth returned. He smiled at me like nothing had happened. It's okay, babe. You've been stressed with work. Sometimes our memories get mixed up. He patted the couch beside him. Come watch this with me. And just like that, it was over. Like he hadn't just spent 72 hours making me feel invisible in my own home. I told myself it was stress. Job hunting is hard. Money problems strain relationships. Everyone goes through rough patches. I was being too demanding, too inflexible, too focused on small things that didn't matter in the bigger picture. The pattern was established, though I didn't see it yet. When my best friend called to invite me to her birthday dinner, I mentioned it to him casually. That sounds fun, he said. Then after a pause, I thought we were going to have a quiet weekend, though. I was really looking forward to just us. We can still have a quiet weekend. Her dinner is just Friday night. Right. Yeah, of course. His tone was neutral, but something about it felt off. I just thought you'd want to spend time with me since I've been dealing with all this job stress. But if your friend is more important, that's fine. That's not what I'm saying. I know, it's fine. Really. Go have fun. But it wasn't fine. I could feel it in the temperature of the room. In the way he moved around the apartment with careful precision, his hurt radiating like cold air. I canceled. Told my friend I wasn't feeling well. She texted back immediately asking if I needed anything. See? He said, reading over my shoulder. Can't even be sick without her getting all up in your business. She's always been kind of controlling with you, hasn't she? I stared at my phone. My best friend since college. Controlling? She's just being nice. I'm sure. Just seems like she can't let you make your own decisions. Like she needs to be involved in everything. The seed was planted. Over the next few weeks, he'd make similar observations. Casual comments that slowly reshaped how I saw my relationships. About my brother. He treats you like you can't handle your own life. It's kind of patronizing, actually. About my coworker who suggested lunch. She's clearly threatened by our relationship. Why else would she be so interested in your personal life? About the couple we'd met at a party. They're trying too hard. Something's off about them. He never forbade anything. Never said I couldn't see people. He just made observations. Pointed out things I'd never noticed before. And after each conversation, I found myself pulling back a little more. By the 4th month of living together, I'd stopped bringing things up entirely. It was easier that way. Easier to let small things slide than to face another wall of silence. Easier to convince myself I was imagining problems than to admit they were real. The voice messages started appearing around month 5. He'd gotten a job at a call center doing customer service. It was supposed to be stable, indoor work with benefits. He'd send me messages throughout the day while I was at work. At first, I thought it was sweet that he wanted to stay connected. Then I actually listened to them. You won't believe what this idiot did today. 5 minutes of seething rage about a coworker who'd asked him to follow protocol. His voice had this edge to it I'd never heard in person, sharp and cruel. Words like worthless, pathetic, waste of oxygen. I sat in my car during lunch, phone pressed to my ear, feeling something cold settle in my chest. The person in this recording didn't sound like the man I lived with. This voice was filled with hate. Raw, undiluted contempt for everyone around him. And then I'd remember. 7 years ago. Different city, different man, same voice messages, same pattern. I'd been 23, fresh out of college, eager to prove I could make a relationship work. He'd been charming at first, too. The explosions came later. The blame, the rage that never seemed to find a target big enough to satisfy it. It had taken me 2 years to leave that relationship. Another 3 to stop flinching at raised voices. Years of therapy to rebuild the parts of myself he'd systematically dismantled. I'd promised myself I'd never ignore warning signs again. But here I was, listening to these messages and telling myself it was different. He was just venting. Everyone needs to blow off steam. The job situation had been stressful with all those changes. He'd never directed any of this anger at me, except he had, hadn't he? The silent treatments. The rewriting of conversations. The way he'd made me doubt my own memory until I apologized for things I hadn't done. That was anger too. Just more calculated, more controlled. That evening he came home in a good mood for once. They'd given him a small team lead position at the call center. More responsibility, slightly better pay. Slightly. See? I told you something would work out, he said, kissing my forehead. You worry too much. I smiled. Told him I was proud of him. Made dinner while he played games on his phone, acted normal. Inside, I was drowning. The comments about my appearance started around month 7. We were getting ready to go out when he paused, looking at my dress. That's a bit young for you, isn't it? I looked down at myself. It was a dress I'd bought the year before. I'd always liked it. You think so? I mean, you can wear whatever you want. I just think you look better in more mature styles. But that's just my opinion. I changed. A week later, your hair looks better down. The ponytail thing makes your face look harsh. 2 weeks after that, you interrupt people a lot in conversations. Just something to be aware of. Then, that opinion about the election is kind of uninformed. Have you actually looked into the issue? Each comment landed like a paper cut. Small, barely noticeable. But enough of them, and I was bleeding. I started second-guessing everything. How I dressed, how I spoke, what I thought. I'd form an opinion and immediately wonder if it was stupid. Question whether my hair was right, my outfit appropriate, my thoughts worth saying. It's constructive feedback, he'd say when I looked hurt. I only say these things because I love you. Would you rather I let you embarrass yourself? That same month, the car situation came up. His credit wasn't good enough to get approved a loan. The loan needed my name. Just temporarily, he explained, spreading the paperwork across our kitchen table. Once I'm stable with this call center job, we'll refinance it into my name. 6 months tops. I looked at the numbers. The monthly payment would eat nearly a quarter of my paycheck. I'd been saving for a certification course that could lead to a promotion. This would make that impossible. I don't know if I can afford this right now. His face went carefully neutral. I need a car to get to work. How am I supposed to keep a job without reliable transportation? I know, but any girlfriend who actually cared would do this without making it a big deal. He leaned back in his chair, studying me. You're not being selfish, are you? Because I've been supporting you emotionally through everything. And this is the one thing I'm asking for. Supporting me? I'd paid for everything for months. But the way he said it, with such conviction, made me doubt my own reality. No, of course not. I'm sorry. You're right. I signed the papers. The car was nicer than anything I'd owned. Leather seats, new model. The kind that made a statement. His statement. My payment. This is an investment in our future, he said, running his hand along the hood. When I'm working consistently, we'll both benefit from this. The first payment came out automatically. I watched my bank balance drop and felt my stomach drop with it. The certification course would have to wait. Maybe next year. Over the next several months, I watched my financial cushion disappear. The emergency fund I'd built over years. The savings account that had made me feel secure. All of it slowly drained away while I made car payments for a vehicle I never drove. Month 10 brought an unexpected expense. My laptop died, the one I needed for work. The replacement would cost $800. I had $300 in my account. The rest had gone to car payments, rent, utilities, groceries, his share of everything. Can't you just use your phone? He asked when I told him. I need it for work. My entire job is on that laptop. Put it on a credit card. I didn't have room. I'd already used it for his car insurance 2 months ago when he'd promised to pay me back. He hadn't. I borrowed money from my brother. The conversation was humiliating. My brother didn't ask questions, just transferred the money within an hour. His text afterward. You know you can always talk to me, right? About anything. I didn't respond. When I told him about borrowing from my brother, his reaction was immediate. He's going to hold this over you forever. He's probably already telling everyone you can't manage money. He shook his head. Your brother's always looking for ways to make you feel small. This is just ammunition for him. My brother hadn't said anything remotely like that. But doubt crept in anyway. Would he tell our parents? Would they all think I was failing? I should pay him back as soon as possible. With what money? You're barely covering bills as it is. He leaned against the counter, arms crossed. This is what happens when you don't prioritize properly. If you'd been more careful with spending, you wouldn't be in this position. I stared at him. More careful with spending? I'd been paying for everything while he cycled through jobs. The words caught in my throat. Instead of confronting him, I just nodded and walked away. The silence started again. 7 days this time. A full week of living with a ghost. Every morning he'd leave for work without a word. Every evening he'd come home and go straight to the bedroom. When I cooked dinner, he'd eat in front of the TV with his back to me. When I tried to start conversations, he'd get up and leave the room. By day 4, I was barely sleeping. The anxiety was a constant knot in my stomach. I'd lie awake replaying our last real conversation, trying to figure out what I'd done wrong, where I'd failed him. On day 7, I couldn't take it anymore. I stood outside the bedroom door, throat tight. I'm sorry, I said to the wood grain. I shouldn't have made you feel bad about the laptop situation. You're dealing with enough stress at work. It wasn't fair of me to add to it. The door opened. He looked tired. Sad. I appreciate that, he said quietly. I know you didn't mean to hurt me. You've just been so stressed about money lately. It affects how you respond to things. I hadn't been stressed about money until he'd drained all mine, but I didn't say that. I just nodded and let him pull me into a hug that felt more like being held underwater than held close. That night, another voice message came through, 23 minutes long. I stared at it for a full minute, water from my shower dripping onto the screen. Then I deleted it without listening. I couldn't afford to hear what I already knew was there. By month 11, I'd canceled so many plans that people stopped making them. I was alone without realizing I'd been isolated. Paying for a car I couldn't afford for a man who used that car to drive to a job where he spent his days hating everyone around him. Doubting every thought in my head because he'd taught me mine weren't worth trusting. The worst part wasn't what he'd done. It was how willingly I'd participated. How I'd handed him every tool he needed and watched while he built a cage around me. And called it love. Then, about 2 weeks before our 3rd anniversary, everything at his job fell apart. He came home on a Tuesday evening and I could tell immediately something was wrong. They fired me, he said, dropping his keys on the counter. My stomach dropped. What happened? Politics. Office bullshit. They've been looking for a reason to get rid of me since I got the team lead position. He went to the fridge, grabbed a beer. The managers had it out for me from day one. Today, he finally got his excuse. What was the excuse? He turned to face me, and for a second, his expression was completely blank. Then he shook his head. Does it matter? I'm out. That's what matters. I'm just trying to understand. There's nothing to understand. They're incompetent, and I'm the scapegoat. End of story. The way he said it left no room for questions. I knew that tone, knew what would happen if I pushed, so I didn't. Over the next 2 weeks, he barely looked for work. He'd sleep until noon, play games on his phone, send out maybe 1 application a day. The car sat in the parking lot, pristine and unused, while my credit card balance climbed higher. I was drowning financially, and he was acting like we were on vacation. 3 weeks later, our anniversary approached. Year 3. I'd been making car payments for 5 months straight. He'd been unemployed for 2 weeks. I had $40 until my next paycheck. He mentioned wanting to go somewhere nice for dinner. A restaurant we talked about trying, the kind requiring reservations weeks in advance. That sounds great, I said, my voice hollow. I pulled up their website. The deposit alone was $60. You're going to make the reservation? He asked, watching me. Yeah, of course, it's our anniversary. You know, most couples split anniversary expenses, but I appreciate you taking care of it. He smiled. You're always so generous. I made the reservation, used my credit card for the deposit, even though I was already dangerously close to the limit. Because saying no meant silence, meant accusations of not valuing our relationship, meant being told I was selfish. The night before our anniversary, I stood in my closet looking at clothes I couldn't afford to replace. I pulled out a dress I'd bought before meeting him, before the car payments and skipped lunches and borrowed money. It still fit, but when I looked in the mirror, the person wearing it felt like a stranger. He'd criticized this dress once, said it was too much, too attention-seeking. I hung it back up and chose something else. Something safe. Something that wouldn't trigger comments or start fights or make me apologize for existing. The reservation was set for 7. I arrived at 6:45, wearing my safe dress and a smile that felt painted on. The hostess led me to our table. Corner booth, quiet, intimate, perfect for an anniversary dinner. Your server will be right with you, she said cheerfully. I ordered water and waited. 7 o'clock came and went. I texted him. I'm here. Can't wait to see you. No response. 7:15. I called. Straight to voicemail. Hi, it's me, just checking in. Hope everything's okay. See you soon. 7:30. The waiter came by for the 3rd time. His smile was sympathetic, but professional. Just a few more minutes, I said, my cheeks burning. He's running late. Traffic, probably. He nodded, but I saw the look. The one that said he'd seen this before. The one that pitied me. Other couples came and went around me, laughing, celebrating, holding hands across tables. I sat alone at a table for 2. Checking my phone every 30 seconds, trying to look casual. Like I wasn't dying inside. Like this was normal. By 7:45, I'd stopped looking at my phone. Just stared at the menu I'd memorized, studying the prices of meals I could no longer afford, trying not to cry in public. 8 o'clock came. Then 8:15. The waiter had stopped coming by. Other diners were starting to notice. I could feel their eyes on me, their whispered conversations. The woman sitting alone on what was clearly supposed to be a special occasion. 8:30. I was starting to consider just leaving, abandoning the deposit, going home, dealing with whatever came next. The humiliation was unbearable. Then, at 8:45, the hostess appeared at my table again. I'm so sorry, she said gently, but we have a wait list and we really need this table. Would you be willing to move to the bar? We can still serve you your meal there if he arrives. The humiliation was complete. I was gathering my things, blinking back tears, my hands shaking when I heard it. His laugh, loud and carrying and unmistakable. I looked up toward the entrance. He walked in with 4 of his friends, all of them already drunk, stumbling slightly, talking over each other. One was wearing a backwards baseball cap and sunglasses indoors. They were laughing like they'd just heard the funniest joke in the world, drawing stares from every table. He saw me and grinned like nothing was wrong, like he hadn't just made me sit alone for 2 hours. There she is. He announced it to the entire restaurant, his voice too loud. His friends laughed as they followed him toward our quiet corner booth, the table for 2. What are you? I started, my voice barely a whisper. Ran into the guys at Sullivan's down the street, he said, sliding into the booth across from me. His friends immediately started pulling chairs from nearby tables, making a scene, scraping furniture across the floor. Couldn't just leave them hanging on our anniversary, right? More the merrier. Sullivan's, the bar 3 blocks away. He'd been there the whole time. I made a reservation for 2, I said quietly, very aware of all the eyes on us. Don't be rude. They're celebrating with us. He turned to his friends, his voice still too loud. She's always so uptight about plans. Can't just go with the flow, you know? They laughed. I felt my face flush hot with shame. The waiter appeared, clearly uncomfortable but professional. He somehow accommodated us, finding extra chairs, rearranging the table. His friends ordered drinks immediately. Expensive cocktails, top-shelf liquor, the kind of drinks that cost $15 each. I watched them point at the menu and joke about prices while my maxed-out credit card sat in my wallet like a ticking time bomb. "Yo, get the lobster," one friend said to another, laughing. "It's her treat anyway." More laughter. The table next to us looked away quickly, embarrassed for me. I sat there, squeezed into the corner of what was supposed to be our intimate booth, watching him perform for his friends like I wasn't even there. Like I hadn't just spent 2 hours being humiliated. Like my existence was just background noise to his fun. "You should have seen her face when I walked in," he said, loud enough that 3 nearby tables could hear him clearly. "Just sitting here like a sad little puppy. How long were you waiting, babe?" Every head in the nearby section turned toward us. 2 hours, I said quietly. 2 hours. He laughed, slapping the table. "That's dedication. Or desperation. Hard to tell which." He looked around at his friends. "What do you guys think?" They laughed. That same laugh that said I was the joke. That said I was pathetic. Several diners at other tables glanced over, then quickly looked away, uncomfortable with the spectacle. "Most people would have left," another friend chimed in, taking a long drink. "Just sitting here alone for 2 hours? That's kind of pathetic, not gonna lie." "Nah, that's what I love about her though," he said, throwing his arm around my shoulders. The gesture felt like possession, not affection. His breath smelled like whiskey. "She's so loyal. Never complains. Never demands anything. Just sits there and takes it. Takes whatever I give her. Takes it. Like I was something to endure. Like my tolerance for his behavior was a personality trait, not a survival mechanism. She even pays for my car." He announced this like it was the most hilarious thing in the world. "Can you believe that? Just makes the payments every month, never says a word, like a personal ATM that never runs out." The table erupted. Someone asked how they could get that deal. Another made a joke about trading his girlfriend for me. The mockery was so blatant, so cruel, that even the waiter looked uncomfortable as he brought their drinks. I sat frozen, every instinct screaming at me to leave, to run, to get out. But my body wouldn't cooperate. I was paralyzed by 3 years of training, 3 years of learning that my reactions were wrong, my feelings were invalid, my boundaries were negotiable. "You should hear the way she apologizes," he continued, like I wasn't sitting right there, like I wasn't a person, for everything, even things that aren't her fault. Last week, she apologized for asking me how my day was. Can you imagine? Apologizing for a normal question. His friends were laughing so hard one was wiping tears from his eyes. "It's honestly impressive how easy it is," he said, taking a drink from someone else's cocktail. "You can say anything, do anything, and she'll just take it. 3 years and she's never pushed back once. Not really." "Dude, that's cold," one friend said, but he was laughing too. They were all laughing. "It's honest. She knows I'm just playing." He squeezed my shoulder hard enough that it almost hurt. "Right, babe. You know this is all love." I looked at him, really looked at him for the first time in months, maybe years, at the smirk on his face, the complete absence of guilt or shame or recognition that he'd just spent 10 minutes destroying me in public, at his friends, none of whom would meet my eyes, all of them complicit in my humiliation. And I saw it clearly. He didn't love me. He didn't even like me. I was convenient, useful. Someone who paid his bills and absorbed his abuse and never fought back. Someone pathetic enough to sit for 2 hours waiting for someone who'd been drinking with his friends 3 blocks away the entire time. He'd planned this. All of it. The late arrival, the friends, the public humiliation. This wasn't spontaneous. This was calculated. He really saw me as pathetic. This wasn't anger or frustration or stress. This was contempt. Pure, undiluted contempt. The kind you have for something beneath you. Something you can use and discard and mock openly because it will never fight back. "Excuse me," I managed. My voice sounded strange, distant. I stood up, my legs shaky, made my way through the maze of extra chairs they'd pulled over, walked past the hostess, past the other diners who'd witnessed everything, their pitying looks burning into my back. Behind me, more laughter. Someone said something I couldn't make out. More laughter. I didn't look back. I walked 3 blocks in my uncomfortable shoes before I could think clearly enough to pull out my phone. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely unlock it. My best friend. The one I'd pushed away. The one I'd canceled on so many times she'd stopped calling. I needed to apologize first. Needed to explain. Needed to... My fingers moved on their own, pressing her name. She answered on the second ring. "Hey, I was just thinking about... Can I come over?" My voice cracked. I'm so sorry I've been awful. I'm so sorry I pushed you away. Can I just come over, please? Where are you? Are you okay? I'm not okay. I'm really not okay. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Stop apologizing and tell me where you are. I'm coming to get you. No, I can get a taxi. I just need... Tell me where you are right now. I gave her the cross streets. She said she'd be there in 10 minutes. I stood on the corner, still shaking, watching cars pass. My phone buzzed. Text messages from him. I watched them appear but didn't read them. Just saw the notifications pile up, one after another. A car pulled up. My best friend's car. She leaned across and pushed open the passenger door. Get in. I got in. Sat in her passenger seat staring at nothing while she drove. She didn't ask questions. Didn't push. Just drove to her apartment and led me inside. The moment her door closed behind us, I broke. 3 years of holding everything together, and it all came apart at once. She held me while I cried. Didn't say anything. Just held me until the shaking stopped and I could breathe normally again. I'm sorry, I finally managed. I'm so sorry I disappeared. I'm sorry I kept canceling. I'm sorry I... Stop. We'll deal with that later. Right now, tell me what happened. So I did. The 2-hour wait. The friends, the public humiliation, the way he'd announced to an entire restaurant that I was pathetic, that I paid for his car, that I was easy to manipulate. She listened with her jaw clenched, her hands gripping her mug so tight her knuckles turned white. You need to leave him, she said when I finished. Not a suggestion, a statement. I know. Tonight. You're not going back there tonight. I don't care what he says or does. I nodded. My phone was still buzzing. More messages. I pulled it out. The first few were from him. Where did you go? Don't be dramatic. It was just a joke. Come back. Everyone thinks you're being ridiculous. You're really going to embarrass me like this? But below those were messages in a group chat I didn't recognize. One that must have synced to my phone at some point when he'd used it. I clicked on it without thinking. The participants were him and his 4 friends from the restaurant. My hand started shaking again as I scrolled up. The messages went back days. Thursday, 6:23 p.m. Him. Anniversary dinner Friday going to be hilarious. Friend 1. You're really going through with it? Him. Already got the reservation. In her name, her card. She thinks I'm excited. Friend 2. Dude LOL. Friday. 4:47 p.m. Him. Meeting you guys at Sullivan's at 8. She's supposed to be there at 7. Friend 3. You're really going to make her sit there alone? Him. For at least an hour. Maybe 2 if I time it right. Friend 2. Dude, that's cold, lol. Him. She'll just apologize like always. Watch. Friend 1. What if she leaves? Him. She won't. She never does. That's the whole point. Friday, 7:23 p.m. Friend 1. We there yet? I'm getting drunk, lol. Him. Give it another hour. Let her really marinate in it. I want her desperate when I show up. Friend 3. This is fucked up, man. Him. It's funny. Relax. She pays for everything anyway. Least she can do is give us some entertainment. Friday, 8:31 p.m. Friend 2. Yo, this is actually sad. She looks like she's about to cry. Him. Perfect. That's when I walk in. Time to move. Friend 1. She really been sitting there for 2 hours? Him. Told you. Personal ATM that never runs out. Never complains. Just sits there and takes it. I felt nauseous. He'd planned it. Every single detail. The late arrival. The friends. The exact timing to maximize my humiliation. They'd choreographed my destruction like it was a comedy routine. What is it? My friend asked. I handed her the phone, watched her face change as she read. When she looked up, there was something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Not pity, rage. That fucking psychopath, she said quietly. He planned the whole thing. There's more, I said. Can I use your laptop? She got it without a word, her hands shaking with anger. I logged into the email account he'd set up on my computer months ago. The one he thought I didn't know the password to. But I'd watched him type it once. One morning when he'd borrowed my laptop, thinking I was still in the shower. I'd filed it away as information I hoped I'd never need. I needed it now. The inbox loaded. I started searching. Found emails to a woman from his call center job. Jessica. The messages weren't professional. 3 months ago. Can't wait to see you tonight. She has no idea. Staying late at your place again. Tell her I'm job hunting, lol. She actually believes I'm networking. It's too easy. 2 months ago. She asked why I was home late. Told her I was at the library applying for jobs. She bought it without question. This is the best setup I've ever had. Free rent, free car, and you on the side. 1 month ago. She's paying for my car now. Just signed the papers last week. This is hilarious. Told her it was temporary. She actually believes we'll refinance it into my name. The dates lined up. 3 months ago, he'd still been working at the call center. Jessica was a coworker. They'd been having an affair the entire time he was making me feel crazy for questioning anything. There was an email to a friend who wasn't at the restaurant tonight. Someone named Marcus. Longer, more detailed. Sent 2 weeks ago, right after he'd been fired. Subject, update. Got fired from the call center. Manager found out I was fucking Jessica and it was creating a hostile work environment or some shit. Whatever. The girlfriend doesn't know and never will. The best part? She's been paying for a car for me for months now. Almost $400 a month. I told her it was temporary, but she's still making payments. She actually believes I'm going to pay her back. Honestly, it's the best setup I've ever had. She pays for everything. The car, rent, food, all of it. Never questions anything. I've got side pieces whenever I want, and she's so wrapped up in trying to keep me happy she doesn't notice. The trick is the silent treatment. Works every single time. I ignore her for a few days. She spirals. Then she apologizes for whatever I want her to apologize for. Last week, she apologized for asking what happened at work, for asking a question. It's like having a personal bank account that never runs out, and occasionally apologizes for existing. I know it sounds harsh, but she makes it so easy. Some people are just built to be doormats. Why would I leave when I've got it this good? I read it 3 times. Each time the words hit harder. Personal bank account. Apologizes for existing. Built to be doormats. Are you seeing this? My voice sounded detached, like it was coming from somewhere else. My friend was reading over my shoulder. I'm seeing it. He's been cheating, for months, with someone from work. Yes, he got fired for it. That's why he lost his job. Not politics. Not a manager with a grudge. He was sleeping with a coworker. Yes. And he thinks I'm pathetic. He thinks you're a resource to exploit, she said quietly, her hand on my shoulder. There's a difference. One is about you. The other is about him being a monster. I kept digging. Found voice recordings he'd sent to friends, files saved to the cloud account. I clicked on one. His voice filled the living room, casual and relaxed. The thing about her is she's too nice. Dangerously nice. You can say anything, do anything, and she'll just absorb it. I could probably rob her blind and she'd apologize for not having more to take. I've been testing it, honestly. Seeing how far I can push before she breaks. 3 years in and she still hasn't. The restaurant thing tonight is going to be the ultimate test. I'm literally going to humiliate her in public, and I guarantee she'll apologize for being upset about it. It's actually kind of sad how easy she is to manipulate. But hey, I've got a car and rent covered, so who's the smart one here? Laughter from whoever he'd sent it to. Male voice. Dude, that's fucked up. Him. It's honest, though. She knows what she is. There were more. Hours of them, sent over months. Him bragging, laughing, describing in detail every time he'd manipulated me. Every silent treatment. Every apology he'd extracted. Every boundary he'd crossed without consequence. One to Marcus, dated a week ago. Anniversary dinner Friday. Going to make her wait at least an hour while I drink with the guys. She'll just sit there like she always does. Might even bring the guys to dinner. Stick her with the bill. It'll be hilarious. Marcus. That's cold, man. Him. She deserves it for being so pathetic. If she had any self-respect, she would have left months ago. I'm basically doing her a favor by showing her what she is. I sat there listening to his voice describe breaking me down like it was an achievement. Like I was a challenge he'd won. Like my pain was entertainment. But something was shifting inside me. The pain from earlier was gone. The humiliation. The hurt. All of it was burning away. Replaced by something else. Clarity. Pure, absolute clarity about exactly who he was. Exactly what he thought of me. And exactly what I was going to do about it. I need to make copies of all of this, I said. My voice was steady now. Calm. Can you help me? My friend looked at me. Saw something in my face that made her nod slowly. What are you going to do? I smiled. It felt strange on my face. Like a muscle I hadn't used in years. But it felt right. I'm going to give him exactly what he deserves. I woke up the next morning on my friend's couch feeling different. Not happy, not healed, but clear. The constant knot in my stomach was gone. The anxiety about saying the wrong thing, the fear of triggering another silence. All of it had evaporated overnight. She was already up, making coffee. How are you feeling? Focused, I said. I spent the morning organizing everything. Downloaded all the messages from the group chat, the emails, the voice recordings, saved them to a cloud drive he couldn't access. Made backups of backups. Created a detailed timeline with dates and screenshots. My friend watched me work with something like awe. You're scarily calm right now. I know exactly what I'm doing. For the first time in 3 years. Around noon, I did something I hadn't done in months. I went shopping. Not for groceries or necessities. For me, I bought the perfume I'd been wanting. The expensive one he'd always said was a waste of money. At the counter, when the cashier rang it up, I didn't feel guilty. Didn't hear his voice in my head telling me it was excessive. "It's for me," I said out loud, and the words felt like freedom. Back at my friend's place, I made lists. Detailed, organized lists. Everything I needed to do. Every action I needed to take. The order mattered. The timing mattered. First, the car payment. I logged into the bank portal. The loan was in my name, but the application had information he'd provided. Information about his employment and income that was demonstrably false. He'd claimed to be making $35,000 a year at the plumbing company when he applied. He'd been fired a week before we'd even signed the papers. I'd kept all the documentation, every text where he'd told me he was unemployed, every conversation about finding work, 5 months of proof that he'd lied about having stable income. I called the bank, got transferred 3 times before reaching someone in the fraud department. "I need to report false information on a loan application," I said, my voice steady. The representative was professional but sympathetic as I walked her through it. I provided dates, documentation, screenshots of text messages where he admitted to being unemployed while claiming otherwise on loan documents. "This will require an investigation," she said. "The process usually takes 2 to 3 weeks. I can suspend your next payment pending the review. If we find evidence of fraud, you won't be liable for the remaining balance, though there may be a minor temporary impact on your credit score." "How minor?" "Usually recovers within 3 to 6 months once the investigation concludes in your favor. Much better than continuing to pay for a fraudulent loan." When I hung up, my friend was staring at me. "You just potentially got out of thousands of dollars in payments." "He said any decent girlfriend would pay for it," I said. I'm done being decent to someone who sees me as an ATM. Second, his parents. He'd sent them dozens of voice messages over the months. Some had come through when he'd used my phone. I'd kept them all, stored in a folder I'd named voice notes, so he wouldn't think twice if he ever saw it. I listened to one again, making sure it was what I remembered. They're such disappointments. Never supported me. Never gave me anything worth a damn. Just dead weight who think they deserve respect because they managed not to fuck up having a kid. Newsflash. That's the bare minimum. They should be thanking me for even staying in contact. His mother had called me 3 weeks ago, concerned. Asked how he was doing. If we were okay. I'd lied smoothly, said everything was fine, we were happy, he was doing well at work. I found her number now. Hit send. She answered on the 3rd ring, her voice warm. "Hello, dear. How are you?" "I need to send you something," I said. "You deserve to know how your son really talks about you when you're not around." "What do you mean? Is something wrong? Is he okay?" "Check your email in 5 minutes. I'm sending you audio files. Listen to them. All of them. Then decide for yourself if he's okay." "I don't understand." "You will. I'm sorry to be the one to show you this, but you deserve to know the truth." I hung up before she could respond. I composed an email. Professional, brief, no emotional language, just facts. "I thought you should hear how your son speaks about you. These are voice messages he sent to friends over the past few months. I'm not doing this to hurt you. I'm doing this because you deserve to know who you're supporting." I attached 3 audio files. The ones where he'd called them failures, where he'd described them with language I wouldn't repeat, where he'd blamed them for everything wrong in his life while they paid his phone bill and sent him grocery money. Sent. My phone rang 30 seconds later. I didn't answer. Let her process it first. Third, his former manager. He'd kept that call center job for almost 5 months, a record for him, but I'd heard the voice messages, the ones about his boss, about his coworkers, the ones where he'd bragged about doing the bare minimum and coasting on other people's work, and the ones about Jessica, about sneaking around during breaks, about how easy it was to fool everyone. I didn't know his manager's work email, but I knew the company. A quick search of their website found the general HR contact. I composed a message. "To whom it may concern, I'm writing regarding a former employee who was recently terminated. I've become aware of audio recordings he made during his employment where he discusses violating company policies, engaging in inappropriate workplace relationships, and bragging about his behavior to friends. While I understand he's no longer employed there, I thought you should be aware that he may be making claims about wrongful termination. These recordings prove otherwise. I'm happy to provide them if relevant to any ongoing matters." I didn't attach anything, just sent the message and waited. Fourth, Jessica. I didn't have her number, but I had her email from the messages I'd found. I composed something simple. "You don't know me, but you know my boyfriend. Or ex-boyfriend, as of yesterday. I found your emails. All of them. I also found messages where he calls you too clingy and getting annoying, where he laughs with his friends about juggling both of us. I'm not writing this to attack you. I'm writing this so you know who you're dealing with. He's going to reach out to you. Probably already has. He's going to say I'm crazy, that I ruined his life, that he needs your support. Don't believe him. I'm attaching proof of who he really is. You deserve better than being his backup plan. We both do." I attached selected screenshots and 2 voice recordings. Sent it. My friend handed me coffee. You're methodical about this. He was methodical about destroying me. Turnabout's fair play. That evening, I checked my phone. 63 missed calls, 91 text messages. All from him, from his friends' phones, from numbers I didn't recognize. The messages escalated predictably. Where are you? We need to talk. You're being childish. Answer your phone. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry about last night. The guys got out of hand. Baby, please. I didn't mean those things. You're really going to throw away 3 years over a joke? I'm at the apartment. Your stuff better still be here. If you took anything, I'm calling the cops. You're fucking crazy. Everyone was right about you. Fine, be that way. I don't need you anyway. Baby, I'm sorry. Please come back, I love you. I blocked his number. Then I blocked every unknown number that texted me. Watched the messages stop. Felt nothing but relief. What now? My friend asked. I looked at my lists, at everything I'd organized. Now I go home, take back my space, and watch everything fall apart for him. She handed me my coffee. You know he's going to show up, right? At the apartment. I know, which is why we're stopping at a locksmith first. The locksmith met us at my apartment at 10 a.m. Sunday. He was efficient, professional, and asked no questions when I requested both locks changed immediately. Expecting trouble? He asked casually while working on the deadbolt. Prepared for it. There's a difference. New keys in hand, I walked into my apartment and saw it with fresh eyes. His stuff everywhere. His mess. His presence that had slowly consumed every corner of my space until there was no room left for me. Ready? My friend asked, holding up a stack of industrial trash bags she'd brought. I've never been more sure of anything. We started in the bedroom. His clothes went into bags without ceremony. Every piece of designer clothing he'd bought with my credit card. The leather jacket he loved, the expensive shoes, all of it into black plastic. Every item that went into those bags felt like taking back a piece of myself. We didn't fold anything, didn't handle anything with care. Just cleared him out room by room, systematically erasing his presence. His gaming system from the living room, the one I'd bought him for his birthday, his books, his collectibles, every piece of electronics with his name on it. Everything that was his. What about this? My friend held up a framed photo of us from year one, early on, before everything fell apart. I looked happy in it. Genuinely happy. I took it. Looked at my own face in the picture. The smile that hadn't been forced. The hope in my eyes. Trash, I said, and dropped it in the bag. It took 4 hours. 20 garbage bags sat by the door when we finished. My friend loaded them into her car while I did one final sweep of the apartment. Checking every drawer, every closet, every space where evidence of him might be hiding. Every trace of him, gone. We drove to the waste facility. I watched as the truck compacted everything. Expensive clothes and electronics, and 3 years of memories crushed into nothing. Feel anything? She asked. Free, I said. I feel free. That evening, the pounding started on my door. I know you're in there. Open this door right now. His voice, furious, desperate, scary. I walked to the door, looked through the peephole. He was red-faced, sweating, his hair disheveled. He looked like he hadn't slept. We need to talk. You can't just shut me out like this. Open the door. I watched him pound on the door that would never open for him again. This man who'd spent 3 years making me feel small, making me apologize for existing. This man who'd called me pathetic, an ATM, a doormat, easy to manipulate. I watched him for a moment. Then I turned around and went back to cooking dinner. The pounding continued for 20 minutes, then stopped. I heard him on the phone in the hallway, his voice carrying through the door. She won't open the door. She changed the locks, threw out all my stuff. Everything. My clothes, my PlayStation, everything. A pause. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. She ruined everything. This is insane. She's fucking insane. His voice broke. For a moment, he sounded genuinely hurt, like he was actually a victim, like he couldn't understand why this was happening. Then I remembered the voice recordings, the emails, the group chat planning my humiliation, the way he described me to his friends, and I turned up the music and opened a bottle of wine. He was still outside when I went to bed around midnight, still there when I woke up at 7. But by 8 a.m. Monday, he was gone. The hallway was quiet. The building was peaceful. And my apartment, for the first time in 3 years, felt like it was actually mine. The consequences started hitting throughout the week. Monday afternoon, the HR department at his former company called me back. I provided them with the recordings where he'd bragged about his relationship with Jessica, about violating workplace policies, about doing minimal work. This is actually very helpful, the HR representative said. He's been making claims about wrongful termination. This contradicts everything he's alleged. I didn't ask what they'd do with it. Just said I was happy to help and hung up. Tuesday, his mother called. I listened to those recordings, she said. Her voice was different, tired, sad, all of them. I'm sorry you had to hear that. Are you? She didn't sound angry, just defeated. He's my son. You sent me recordings of my son talking about us like we're garbage. He talks to you the way he talks about you in those recordings, I said quietly. You know he does. The line was quiet for a long moment. Yes, she finally said. He does. You don't have to accept it. You don't owe him anything just because he's your son. You can set boundaries. You can say no. He called us this morning. Said his girlfriend threw him out. That you're trying to ruin his life. That he needs to come home. And what did you say? I said no. For the first time in his life, I said no. Her voice cracked. His father and I talked all night after listening to those recordings. We've been making excuses for him since he was a child. Telling ourselves he'd mature. That he just needed more support. More patience, more understanding. And now we see what we created. We enabled this. We made this possible by never holding him accountable. She paused. He's not coming home. We told him he has 30 days to find somewhere else. We're done. That's incredibly brave. It doesn't feel brave. It feels like failure, like we wasted 3 decades. It's not too late to stop enabling him. That's not failure. That's growth. After she hung up, I sat with the phone in my hand, thinking about how many people had made excuses for him over the years. His parents, his friends, me. How many chances he'd burned through because someone was always there to catch him when he fell. Not anymore. Wednesday, Jessica called me. I didn't recognize the number, but answered anyway. Is this her? A woman's voice. Younger than mine, tentative. Depends on who you're looking for. His girlfriend, ex-girlfriend. He said her name was, that's me, or was me. Past tense. I got your email. She was quiet for a moment. He told me you were crazy, that you were obsessed and trying to ruin his life because he broke up with you. Interesting version. Did you listen to the recordings I sent? Yes. Then you know the truth. He's been staying on my couch since Saturday, she said. He showed up crying, saying you threw him out over nothing, that you were having some kind of breakdown. I felt bad for him. And now? Now I played him those recordings this morning, asked him to explain them. He said they were taken out of context, that you edited them somehow. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. I asked him to leave. He's been texting me nonstop since, saying I'm overreacting, that I'm turning on him just like everyone else. Let me guess. He said if I actually cared about him, you'd give him another chance? Word for word. That's his pattern. Make you feel like you're the problem for having standards. Like you're abandoning him by refusing to accept unacceptable behavior. He called me a bitch when I made him leave. Told me I was just like you. Ungrateful and crazy. She paused. Thank you for the email. For warning me. I'm sorry for my part in all this. I knew he had a girlfriend. I let him convince me it was complicated. That you didn't understand him. You didn't know who he really was, neither did I for a long time. Don't beat yourself up for believing someone's lies. How did you finally see through it? He humiliated me publicly, and I found proof he'd been planning it for days. Sometimes you need the mask to come off completely before you can see what's underneath. Later that week, the bank called. The investigation had moved quickly. We've reviewed the documentation you provided, the representative said. The loan application contains materially false information about employment and income. We're ruling this as fraud. The vehicle will be repossessed and sold at auction. You won't be liable for any remaining balance after the sale. What about my credit? There will be a small impact from the late payments during the investigation, but we're noting the fraud finding in your file. It should recover within 6 months. Much better than continuing to pay nearly $400 monthly for another 4 years. 5 months of payments? Almost $7,000 thrown away. But it was over now. Thank you, I said. I'm sorry you went through this. Unfortunately, we see this kind of financial abuse more often than people realize. That stopped me. Financial abuse? I'd never thought of it that way. But that's exactly what it had been. Friday afternoon, I heard through a mutual friend that the car had been repossessed on Thursday morning. Apparently, it had been dramatic. He was living in the car, the friend told me on the phone. Jessica kicked him out. His parents said no. None of his friends would let him crash. He'd been sleeping in the car for 3 days. And when they repossessed it, he lost it, started screaming at the tow truck driver about how this was illegal, how you'd stolen his car, how everyone was conspiring against him. Someone called the cops. They didn't arrest him, but it was close. I felt nothing hearing this, just noted the information and moved on. Listen, the friend continued. I need to tell you something. He's been calling everyone, telling them you hacked his accounts, stole his money, threw him out without warning, making himself the victim. And I didn't believe him. None of us did. We all know how he is. Every bad thing that happens is always someone else's fault. Same pattern for years." He paused. "But some people asked me to ask you what really happened. Do you want the truth?" "Yes," I told him. "Not everything. Just enough." The group chat planning the restaurant humiliation, the emails about cheating, a few voice recordings. "Jesus Christ," he said when I finished. "Can you send me some of that? People need to know what he's really like." I'm not interested in revenge or drama, but if people ask you directly what happened, you can tell them the truth. I'm done letting him control the narrative. He's been controlling it for years. Everyone's always felt bad for him. Poor guy can't catch a break. Poor guy gets fired from every job. Poor guy's girlfriend is so demanding. Now we know why nothing ever works out for him. Over the next 2 weeks, the truth spread through our social circle. People saw the messages, heard the recordings, realized his victim narrative was a carefully constructed lie. His reputation collapsed. People who'd been sympathetic stopped answering his calls. Friends who'd offered couches suddenly weren't available. The support network evaporated as people recognized patterns in their own interactions with him. I heard he tried damage control, claimed everything was fake, that I'd used AI to create the recordings, that I was running a smear campaign because I couldn't handle him moving on. But too many people had seen too much, had heard too much in his own voice, had their own stories of lending him money he never repaid, of believing his excuses, of watching him burn bridges and blame everyone else. One friend called to apologize. "I believed him when he said you were crazy," he said. "I should have known better. Should have asked you directly. I'm sorry." "You asked eventually. That's more than most people do." For what it's worth, none of us are talking to him anymore. He showed up at a game night last week trying to act normal. Someone asked him about the restaurant thing. He tried to say it was just a joke that you couldn't take. Mark told him to leave and not come back. After he hung up, I sat with that information. Part of me felt vindicated. The bigger part just felt tired. Tired of thinking about him. Tired of measuring my life against his consequences. Tired of letting him take up any more space in my head. I was done. Not just with him, with everything he represented. The version of myself who'd accepted his treatment. The fear that kept me silent. The desperate need for his approval. I was building something new now. Something mine. Something he couldn't touch. 3 weeks after everything fell apart, my brother invited me to lunch. His treat, he insisted. No arguments. We met at a casual Italian place. Nothing fancy. Perfect. "You look different," he said after we'd ordered. "Different how?" "Lighter. Like someone lifted something heavy off you." "Someone did." "Me." "Mom told me some of what happened. Not everything, I'm sure." He broke a breadstick. "I'm glad you're out. I was worried for a while there." "I know. I'm sorry I pulled away." "Don't apologize. Just, next time you're in something like that, come to us sooner. You don't have to handle everything alone." He slid an envelope across the table. "This is for you." Inside was information about the professional certification course, the one I'd been saving for before the car payments started draining my accounts. "The registration fee's already paid," he said before I could protest. "Consider it back payment for all the dinners you've made for the kids, all the times you've helped us without asking anything back, for being a great sister even when you were going through hell. I can't accept. You can and you will. You gave up on this opportunity because of him. Don't let what he took from you keep taking things now that he's gone. Use this. Build the career you want." I looked at the envelope, at the opportunity I'd thought was lost forever. "Thank you," I managed. "Seriously, this means everything. Just promise me you'll finish it. Be the person you were before him, or better." "I don't think I can be who I was before." "Good. Be someone better, someone stronger, someone who knows her worth." The certification course started 2 weeks later. I threw myself into it with focus I'd never been able to maintain when I was with him. Without the constant anxiety of wondering what mood he'd be in when he got home. Without the financial drain of supporting someone who contributed nothing. Without someone actively sabotaging my confidence every day. I was excelling. My instructor mentioned opportunities after graduation, advancement possibilities, a future I'd almost given up on. My apartment felt like mine now. I'd redecorated slowly, deliberately. New art on the walls that I'd chosen because I loved it, not because it was safe. Plants everywhere. I'd discovered I was actually good at keeping them alive when I wasn't in survival mode. A reading corner by the window, with a comfortable chair and good lighting. Small changes that added up to a space that reflected who I actually was, not who he'd tried to make me become. 3 months after the breakup, I adopted a cat from the local shelter. A gray tabby who'd been returned twice because she was too timid and too much work. She reminded me of myself, scared, defensive, waiting for the next person to hurt her. I named her Pepper. She hid under the bed for the first week, only coming out when she thought I was asleep. But gradually, day by day, she learned to trust. Learned that not everyone would hurt her. Learned that this was a safe place. Watching her transformation gave me hope for my own. My best friend and I fell back into our old rhythm. Weekly dinners that I never canceled. Movie nights. Long conversations over wine. The kind of friendship I'd nearly destroyed. "You know what's different about you?" she said one evening, Pepper curled between us on the couch. "What?" "You smile now. Like really smile. Not the fake ones you used to do. Real ones. It reaches your eyes." I thought about that. About the person I'd been 6 months ago, sitting alone in that restaurant, waiting for someone who saw me as entertainment, as a punchline. About the person I'd been 3 years ago, before the car payments and the silent treatments and the systematic erosion of my self-worth. About the person I was now, free, independent, answering to no one but myself. "Yeah," I said. "I guess I do." I heard through the grapevine that he'd bounced between several couches before his parents' 30-day deadline expired. True to their word, they'd held firm. When he'd shown up on day 31 with puppy dog eyes and apologies, his father had turned him away at the door. Strong words from people who'd enabled him for 30 years. Better late than never. He'd moved back in with Jessica briefly. That had lasted less than a week before she'd kicked him out again after finding text messages to another woman. "Same patterns," my friend reported. She said he tried everything. Love bombing, gaslighting, threats, playing victim. She told him to fuck off. Last I heard, he was working part-time at a fast food place and living in a room he rented week to week. The job apparently wasn't going well either. "He had a meltdown last week," someone told me, screaming at a customer over nothing. His manager pulled him off the floor. Part of me wondered if he'd ever figure it out. Ever take responsibility. Ever change. But only a small part. And it got smaller every day. 6 months after that anniversary dinner, I stood in my new apartment watching the sunset through floor-to-ceiling windows. The place was smaller than my old apartment. 1 bedroom instead of 2. But it was in a better neighborhood. Quieter. Safer. And entirely mine. Every payment. Every decision. Every piece of furniture. Pepper wound around my ankles, purring, completely comfortable now. "What do you think?" I asked her. Pretty good view, right?" She meowed. I took that as agreement. The certification course had led to a promotion at work. Better title. 30% pay increase. The kind of opportunity I'd been working toward for years, but had been too financially and emotionally drained to pursue while I was with him. The money that used to go to car payments was split between savings and a travel fund. In 2 weeks, I was flying to Portland for 5 days. Solo trip. Just me exploring a city I'd always wanted to see. I'd bought good hiking boots for the trip. Expensive ones. The kind he would have called excessive, would have made me feel guilty for wanting. Now I just called them an investment in my happiness. My brother texted a photo of my niece on her new bike. Could I come to dinner Sunday to celebrate? Of course. My weekends were mine again. No more walking on eggshells. No more canceling plans because of someone else's mood. The doorbell rang. My best friend, arriving for our weekly dinner with wine and pasta. "I brought the good stuff," she announced, holding up the bottle. Define good stuff. Expensive. You deserve expensive. We ate on the floor like teenagers, laughing, Pepper stealing bites from both our plates. We talked about nothing important, and everything important, made plans for the future, dreamed about possibilities. Later, after she left, I sat in my reading chair with Pepper in my lap. The apartment was quiet, peaceful, mine. I thought about the journey that had brought me here, the pain of that anniversary dinner, the humiliation of sitting alone for 2 hours, the shock of discovering just how much contempt he'd had for me, the clarity that came from seeing the truth laid bare. I thought about the woman who'd absorbed years of abuse because she'd convinced herself that leaving was harder than staying, who'd paid his bills and funded his life while he mocked her to his friends, who'd apologized for existing because that was easier than demanding respect. 7 years ago, I'd escaped one abusive relationship and promised myself I'd never ignore warning signs again. Then I'd walked straight into another one, convincing myself it was different because the abuse was quieter, more subtle, more calculated. But this time I got out faster. This time I fought back. This time I didn't just leave. I burned the bridges behind me so I couldn't go back even if I wanted to. That was growth. Pepper stretched and settled deeper into my lap, her purr a steady vibration of contentment. She'd learned to trust again. So had I. The apartment was filled with things I'd chosen. My books, my art, my furniture, my life. No more silent treatments casting shadows over everything. No more walking on eggshells. No more apologizing for having needs or opinions or boundaries. Just me, comfortable in my own skin for the first time in years. 3 years of losing myself, 6 months of finding myself again. Best trade I ever made.